Hi, I'm Shenna with IdeateTV at the SoCal Pet Expo, and we're here talking with Melinda Cerisano. She's the author of Heaven is for Animals Too. And can you tell me more about what your book is about?
It's about animals going to heaven according to the original languages of the Bible, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. I was told as a child that animals don't go to heaven because they don't have a soul and they're not made in the likeness of God. So I accepted that, but when I got older, I read the Bible because my father had been diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's. And I felt like it was time to read the Bible front to back, so I read an elementary version, and I found about 8 verses as I was reading from front to back that made me question what I had been told as a child. So I took the 8 verses out and I wrote them down by hand, and I gave them to a friend who lost her horse, and she gave it to a friend, and it moved on. And then somebody that was very distraught over their dog passing came to my house and asked me more about what I had written, and his exact words: "If God has this much grace and mercy for Max, his dog, I'll take him." So 12 pages became 50 and 100, and then 9 years later, the book.
That's really amazing. Well, my background too, we have a patron saint for animals, so it's really interesting that that's your childhood background was about that. But so how have people received your book?
It's moving along pretty well. I think that in the clientele here at the Amazing Pet Expo, we're all animal lovers. So I think a lot of people in their hearts do believe animals go to heaven. So when they stop and talk at the booth and ask me a little more detail about the book, I guess my response is more of, I kind of needed to do the research maybe to convince myself and to convince my friend that wanted more information. And the way I looked at it is, when somebody's dealing with the agony of losing a pet, I want to just be able to hand them the book. Maybe they'll get some comfort out of the good old bestseller of all times, the Bible.
So, no, you're right. Would be helpful for people who have lost their pets. And has that happened to you?
Well, that's a good question. The book came out in approximately February, and from February to a month ago, I lost 3 horses due to old age, and 1 had a tumor. So I've had them for as many as 3 decades. So this was, I got a big test, and I have to admit, I have to take into heart what I wrote, because I don't take to losing pets very well.
No, I own 2 cats, and I'm a new pet owner actually. So I can kind of understand. Like, it would break my heart if same thing happened to. Yeah, but I understand that you also are an equestrian, you're a behaviorist, and also a pilot. So where did you find the time to write this book?
That's probably why it took 9 years. I did go through time periods where I kind of couldn't concentrate on it. When I was a child, I was so into animals. I wanted to be a dolphinologist when I was 5 years old. But my dad, who was an airline pilot, always seemed to be at the little dog shows or the horse shows. And I remember thinking, well, if I become an airline pilot, I'm going to be able to go to all those things. I think that was my first little motivation. I love airplanes and I love flying. But it did help out with the research to be able to fly to Italy and different areas. I wanted to visit the Vatican and get their say on it. So the flying definitely helped me have time. I did a lot of writing on layovers late at night. So yeah, it was hard. It's not easy, but.
Well, just curious, what did the Vatican say about animals?
Okay, that's a tough one. In 1991, Pope John Paul II was quoted in a public audience, and it was carried in Gender magazine in Italy, that animals do have souls and we need to have respect for our smaller brethren. But a friar at the Vatican tried to explain to me that it's under divine providence, and that God made everything to be on a journey to work its way back to an everlasting life. And in God the Father and Creator is a book that Pope John Paul II wrote, and I found a quote that said exactly that in there. Because not being Catholic, I had a little bit of a hard time with divine providence, so I researched it in that book. But they they also said that it's not studied in seminary. And I found that in all churches it's not really studied. The Hebrews and the Jewish religion, the rabbis know a little more about that. But so the Vatican basically said that a lot of the priests in the towns might not have the exact knowledge that Pope John Paul II had.
Well, that's very interesting. I'm sure, is that in your book as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It was really nice speaking with you, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the show and saw lots of books.
Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And this is Shenna with IdeateTV.